Pay rent or leave. That's what my mother shouted just as my little girl stepped inside from the hospital. I declined. My father struck me so fiercely that I collapsed, bleeding right in front of my child. "Mom," she screamed. He grinned maliciously. "Maybe now you'll listen." But they had no clue what I was about to do next. "Hello, Reddit. I'm 33 and my name is Hannah. I'm not sure how to begin this because the terms family and home no longer hold any comforting meaning for me. Instead, they've become the reasons I cringe at raised voices. This isn't a tale of revenge or cutting ties for amusement. It's a story of gradual breaking, again and again, until all that remained was the decision to finally stand up for myself and my daughter. A bit of background. My childhood wasn't really a childhood at all. It was more like training to be compliant. I grew up in a house that appeared perfect from the outside. My dad, Edward, was a retired military man, cold and strict, always ready to bark orders. My mom, Marlene, was the kind of woman who baked pies for the neighbors, but spoke cruelly behind closed doors. I was the oldest of three, the only girl, and throughout most of my life, I was told my only worth was in how much I could contribute. Contribute to the family. Follow my father's rules. Help my brothers when they were too lazy to do their chores. My opinions didn't count. My aspirations were foolish. At 16, I was accepted into a science mentorship program, a major opportunity to work with real researchers. My dad tore the letter in half, saying, "What will you do? Run off and get pregnant? You'll stay home and learn to cook." My mom just sipped her tea and nodded in agreement. That was the pattern. Whenever I aspired for more, it was shut down. I didn't challenge it then. I wasn't taught how. I was taught to obey. The turning point came when I became a mother at 24. I discovered I was pregnant. The father was absent, and I was terrified. I was working as a receptionist, barely getting by, and the thought of raising a child alone should have crushed me. But it didn't. When I first held my daughter, Ava, in the hospital, all 6 pounds of her, tiny and pink and crying, something inside me clicked into place. For the first time, I felt a sense of purpose. She became my reason to strive harder, be stronger, and protect someone. Naturally, my parents weren't pleased. They only allowed me to move back in on the condition that I earned my keep, which meant cooking, cleaning, and running their errands while working part-time and raising Ava. I didn't complain. I swallowed my pride, told myself it was temporary, and remained quiet for Ava's sake. My parents' affection was transactional, especially towards Ava. As she grew, it became more apparent how my parents viewed us both as inconveniences. They never saw her as a grandchild to love, just another burden I had added to their lives. Whenever Ava got sick, it was, "Why can't you keep her well?" When she cried, it was, "Control your child." If I needed help even for a day, it came with guilt trips or outright refusal. But I stayed because rent had skyrocketed, and I couldn't afford a decent place on my own. Deep down, I still hoped they would soften, especially towards Ava. That hope vanished the night Ava got hurt. 2 weeks ago, Ava slipped on the kitchen floor and broke her wrist. She was in tears, cradling her arm, and I hurried her to the ER. We spent hours there, X-rays, setting the fracture, medication. It was exhausting, and Ava was in pain, terrified, holding on to me as if I was her entire world. We got home past midnight. She had a cast, a swollen face from crying, and just wanted to sleep. I carried her upstairs and tucked her into bed. That's when my mom walked in and said it like a gunshot in the dark. "You need to start paying rent, Hannah, or get out." I froze. My heart was still racing from the ER visit, and now she was threatening to kick us out. "Mom, Ava just got back from the hospital," I said, trying to stay calm. "Can we discuss this tomorrow?" She crossed her arms. "Tomorrow? You've had it easy long enough. You're 33. Either start paying real money or find somewhere else to live." I swallowed hard. "I do contribute. I clean. I run your errands. I cook dinner every night. I've been saving to move out." "Not fast enough," she snapped. That's when my dad walked in, probably having heard the commotion. His expression was blank but menacing. He had always despised being challenged, especially by me. "What's going on here?" he growled. My mom pointed at me as if I was trash. "She refuses to pay rent. Thinks we owe her a free ride forever." I took a deep breath. "No, I just think it's cruel to demand money the night I had to rush my daughter to the hospital. She's in pain. She's scared. And then it happened. I didn't even see it coming. One moment I was speaking, the next I was on the floor. My cheek burned, my lips split open, and I tasted blood. Everything blurred, and then I heard the worst sound in the world, Ava's scream. She had come downstairs, probably frightened by the yelling. "Mom!" she cried, rushing to me, her tiny hands touching my shoulders. "Mommy, wake up, please." My dad looked down at me with cold disdain. "Maybe now you'll listen," he said as if this was discipline. That was the moment something snapped inside me. I lay still for a second, too shocked to move. Ava was crying, clinging to me, asking if I was okay. And in that moment, I didn't feel pain. I felt rage. More than that, I felt clarity. All those years, I had justified staying for stability. I let them treat me like trash. I convinced myself that Ava needed a roof over her head, even if it came with poison. But now I recognized what that poison was doing to her. She had just witnessed her grandfather strike her mother. She had seen me fall, bleeding, and she was terrified. This wasn't stability. It was generational trauma being recycled in real time. So, I stood up and made the quietest, boldest choice of my life. I didn't scream. I didn't yell. I stood tall, wiped the blood from my mouth, and said, "Don't ever touch me again." My father scoffed. My mom muttered something about me being overly dramatic. I didn't respond. I simply turned, took Ava's hand, and walked up to our room. I locked the door. Then I sat on the floor, Ava in my lap, and held her while she cried. That night, I couldn't sleep. Instead, I called a friend who had once offered a spare room, a legal aid hotline, and a therapist's office. I finally faced the truth. I was not safe. My daughter was not safe. And my so-called family had no idea what I was about to do next. The morning after the slap, I didn't cry. Not when I brushed my teeth and saw the bruising swell on my face. Not when I packed Ava's favorite books, her sketch pad, and the stuffed rabbit she clutched when scared. Not when I quietly pulled out the envelope I had hidden for months. Emergency cash I'd been saving just in case. But when I turned and saw Ava sitting on the edge of the bed, already dressed, her little casted arm resting on her lap as she whispered, "Mommy, are we leaving?" That's when my throat tightened. She knew. I nodded. "Yes, baby, we are." We left before sunrise, without goodbyes. We crept down the stairs just after 5 a.m., bags in hand. I didn't want another confrontation. I didn't want my father's shadow in the doorway or my mom's voice poisoning the air. We slipped out the front door into the Uber I had booked using my emergency card. The driver didn't ask questions. He just helped me load our things and drove. Destination: my college roommate's townhouse, 30 minutes away. Her name was Lena, and she had once told me, "If you ever need to disappear for a while, my guest room is yours." I never thought I'd take her up on it. But there I was, sitting in the back seat with Ava's head resting on my shoulder, trying not to tremble. Lena opened her door in pajamas and hugged me before I could even speak. "Bathrooms down the hall, fridge is stocked, and that room's all yours. You don't owe me a word until you're ready." I cried in her arms. Finally. What came next? Legal protection, therapy, and truth. The next few days blurred into a whirlwind of paperwork, phone calls, and quiet meals. Ava barely spoke at first. I found her drawing little scribbles of our old house with big black crosses over it. I called a women's legal support clinic the following Monday. I didn't want revenge. I wanted boundaries, safety. So, I filed for a restraining order against my father and requested temporary no-contact orders for both my parents, citing domestic abuse and endangerment witnessed by my child. They served the order within 48 hours. Lena handed the paperwork to the process server herself, who looked visibly uncomfortable visiting my old neighborhood. Apparently, my father had roared when he saw the envelope. My mom called my burner phone 15 times, all ignored. Then she texted, "You'll regret this. Don't turn Ava against her family." I stared at that message for a full 5 minutes. The irony of that woman accusing me of turning Ava against anyone when Ava had seen them abuse me was disgusting. I replied with just one line. "She's not turning against anyone. She's watching me protect her. Something you never did." Blocked permanently. Therapy saved us slowly and gently. I put Ava into trauma-informed therapy immediately. The therapist, a kind woman named Dr. Reinhardt, worked wonders. Ava began opening up about her fears, about how she thought Papa would hurt me again, about how she tried to sleep with one eye open that night. Dr. Reinhardt told me the best thing I could do was show her through actions that we were safe now. She didn't need words, she needed consistency. So I made a promise: no more screaming, no more guilt, no more flinching when a door slammed. We started building a routine. Mornings were gentle. Evenings were slow. Ava began drawing flowers instead of black crosses. She started giggling again. And I began healing too. Then came the day the calls changed and the truth emerged. About 3 weeks later, I received a message from an unknown number. Please call me. I had no idea what they did to you. I'm so sorry. It was from my younger brother, Ryan. He had been away at college when the slap occurred. He knew our parents were strict, but didn't realize how far it had gone. I ignored him at first. I didn't trust anyone, but he continued to send short, gentle check-ins. Eventually, I agreed to meet. We met at a small coffee shop. He walked in, saw the fading bruise on my cheek, and his face turned pale. Hannah, Jesus Christ. They told me you were being emotional again. I laughed bitterly. That's their favorite word, isn't it? Whenever I say no, I'm being emotional. Ryan looked heartbroken. He pulled out his phone and showed me texts from our mom, all portraying me as ungrateful, unstable, and manipulative. Classic smear campaign. I believed them for too long, he whispered. I'm sorry I wasn't there. I didn't forgive him right away, but it was a start. Someone else finally acknowledged what I had endured. When the mask cracked, Lena's neighbor happened to be a social worker. She ran into my mom at the grocery store and overheard her loudly complaining that her ungrateful daughter had run off like a criminal and poisoned her grandchild against her own family. The social worker, bless her, politely asked, "Oh, what did you do to her?" My mom didn't know how to respond. A few days later, Lena received a message on Facebook from a mutual friend of my parents, inquiring about what had really happened. Apparently, the version my mom was spreading was full of holes, and people were starting to notice. I didn't need revenge. The truth was doing all the work. New job, new apartment, new life. By the second month, I got a position at a local IT firm as a support coordinator. It wasn't glamorous, but it paid decently, offered benefits, and allowed flexible hours for Ava's school schedule. I qualified for a single mother housing grant and moved into a cozy 2-bedroom apartment with pale green walls and a tiny patio. Ava helped me decorate with paper butterflies and sticky glitter stars. She danced around the living room, saying, "Mommy, it smells like safety in here." I broke down crying again, not out of pain, but from peace. A final letter I never sent. A few nights ago, I wrote a letter to my parents. It read, "Dear Mom and Dad, you taught me how to obey. You taught me how to stay silent, but you never taught me how to love or how to protect the people who matter. Thank you for showing me precisely what I never want to become. Ava is safe now, and I am healing. You may never meet her again, and I've made peace with that. Not because I hate you, but because I love her more than I was ever loved by you." I folded the letter, placed it in a drawer, and never mailed it because some people don't deserve a front-row seat to your healing. They only deserve silence. Closure isn't about revenge, it's about freedom. I still wake up some nights in a sweat, thinking I'm back in that house, but those moments pass. Because now, when Ava reaches for me, she knows I'm not just her mother. I'm her protector. She's growing up in a home without fear or shame, just safety, warmth, and the quiet strength of a mother who finally said enough. And that's more powerful than any slap, any scream, or any guilt they ever tried to impose.